Welcome back to Improvision Entertainment. My name is Hunter Munn, and this is more of Euro Truck Simulator 2. I was listening to Mac Break Weekly. There shouldn't be anything offensive, so I don't have to give you like a trigger warning like if I'm watching the news. But in any event, here we go, and we're getting right back into the same run we were just doing.
Major rethinking of how iOS works on phones, and it's got a lot of potential. Even though, I'm with Andy. We're going to get it, and there's going to be like, oh, it doesn't do this, and it's going to be one of those things we have to wait maybe a year for, but I think it's got huge potential.
Alex, when you were all watching on...
We're talking about the Dynamic Island, I believe.
Did you notice any
And
edits,
Mac and Apple products, and Hackintosh with Gaffer in the chat. Gaffer, you up all night, or did you wake up super early?
Like, there was a long discussion about what parts were green screen and what weren't. So
it looked like, it felt like it was all, almost all green screen.
I don't think it was.
How did they do...
I almost ran that red light, but it wasn't red.
Boy, this drove
Like, I
me
wasn't
nuts.
paying attention that there was a light.
This is when they're demonstrating the AirPods Pro 2. At first, she's in a subway station. Looks like, in fact, she's on a subway car. Looks very much like a New York subway car. Gets out of the car, walks out the door of the station. Suddenly, she's on the street with a guy in a jackhammer.
Then again,
walks
Gaffer
off
might
the
be having
street
ads right now and not be able to hear me.
A cafe, and then they pan back, and it looks like it's 3 sets. That's all fake.
I don't know yet. You know, like
we don't know.
I
guess,
think that could have been, and some of those effect shots could definitely be fake. What we were really talking about is when the presenters, in those effect shots, you could absolutely fake that, have her do what she needs to do on a green screen, and then swap things out.
I'm wondering if they used the volume, the big space that the Mandalorian uses.
Not out of the question.
Yeah.
Not out of the question.
They can afford it. They might have a giant micro LED screen in the basement.
Well, you just go. Space. It takes so much to set it up that it would. They would just go to. They talk to ILM and say, "Hey, can we shoot there?" But what we were really looking at is when the presenters were standing. We were trying to decide, like, is that big screen? Are they in front of a screen, or are they in front of a green screen? And then they're keying it all in. And the things that we were looking at were like the kind of hair was like the little flyaways.
That's what we were looking at.
Flyaways.
Andy
and
and I.
At shadows on the floor. And
Ever since too late for bed, I have university in the morning, so I will go to bed only after university. Oh, I've been there. I see how that is.
This is. All right, I lost it. There's places where the presenters are talking, and they zoom into another space.
All right, so you've been up all night long.
Okay, let's watch that.
So how realistic? This could be a drone shot. Okay, now he's got to be on a green screen. I think Jeff Williams.
No, I don't think so.
That's real.
That would be really hard. It'd be really hard to move with the.
I heard from someone behind the scenes that most of this stuff is practical. I think that the slides are fake, but I think their locations are real.
Let me go back.
Those locations look exactly.
Jeff Williams finishes speaking, and then we. Oh, you see the distortion there? All right, so that was just a cut. That was a cut. Okay, never mind.
Well, yeah.
There was a little distortion that was hiding the cut.
But I think that screen, maybe the screen is...
During the second hour stream? That's what I was thinking, but like, I was trying to remember when I started.
I agree. I think
I started at like 4:30, so plus 7 hours.
When she's not in front of it, they could just add it in.
They didn't really put Jeff Williams on.
So yeah, you've been up all night with me? Huh.
Well,
thank you for giving me your time. I hope that you've been enjoying yourself through the news and Mac stuff.
I love that they did that, right? Like he's on the Apple campus, and then he's out in the wilderness, and that's one of those examples of Apple. I mean, I know this is weird to say, but I love that Apple is actually pushing their filmmaking. I mean, Tim called it a film. It's like, okay, whatever. But they are ambitious with it. Like that shot with the triptych.
Oh, well, I'm glad you've been entertained,
the
Gaffer.
Subway and the jackhammer and the cafe.
I hope I do not stop being entertaining.
That it's all kind of like in that
I hope that you'll watch even when I get really frustrated with a game and start swearing badly. I always worry that's the big turnoff for people.
To out in the middle of the wilderness, and then
Molly's like, it's okay, some people get frustrated sometimes, and that's perfectly natural. And I'm not like a super angry gamer, but man, when I have my moments, I know they are moments. I know it.
It's well done. And it's so, Alex, this is the volume. Has to be, right?
That's pretty close to be a volume. So, like, putting things really, really close to you in the volume is not usually what you would do. You'd usually have that close. You probably have something physical there. Usually the volume.
I so badly just want to go around this guy.
Is she in a box that they're bouncing?
Well, sometimes you put people on things and move them a little bit. It's not practically to get them to do what they need to do.
And then it's a screen outside the subway car.
It could be. Now that could be
long necker.
or it could be something else, or it could just be a big screen, or it could be just green. You know, like
You
that
turkey.
Green screen would be really good at.
Because she's not moving, so there's no perspective issues or anything with that. Although the
There's a lot
camera's
of-
moving.
And the light through the windows matching is very impressive. If that's a
Slow down for that cop.
She's walking out of the subway station. I guess you could put a cut there.
So what you do is you use those walls as wipes.
Yeah.
So then you match the shots.
That's what they did in
I
that
kind of
amazing movie.
feel like I should have put on the video one. I don't normally watch the video version of Mac Break Weekly, but if I did it here,
Shot the whole movie. Birdman was a whole.
at least people watching on stream could see a tiny little picture of. Oh, hey, let me ask you, Gaffer.
What I would do, I don't know what they did.
You've had a couple of hours with the news.
What
What do you think about the tiny little picture-in-picture for the news? Like, do you think that's the right size, or that it's like
alert cones are? would
it
be
could be
practical,
bigger?
and then-
Right.
And then I might do.
Like, I don't necessarily think people would be showing up to
She opened
for the
that door,
news
but then
instead
it
of
could be
me.
from the door back. It'd
But
be
like,
the
if
door
it's
that
playing,
is,
maybe
too.
like
Is that
a
real
bigger
cafe?
visual screen. I need to get
so
over.
Cavcore,
I need to
the
get
song
over.
There is real, obviously, but the alley seems like the alley and the jackhammer man are fake.
What the hell? What was that all about?
Is this too distracting, or maybe is it just us?
Oh, I'm about to get interrupted by the potato.
There's something even.
Too small but fine for the news?
Apple actually
Okay.
had an Easter egg in that subway scene for Severance, their Apple TV
There's a
show.
character from
No.
Severance
Okay,
in the
so in a
video.
second I'm gonna lose control of the vehicle, and it's gonna go sideways, and hopefully I won't be going too
I
fast.
saw a redhead come out the door of the subway. Was that Helly? Oh my God! It's-
I put a link in the notes for you if you want.
Watch,
to check
watch,
it out.
watch.
Tom's got
there she is. There's Helly.
Yep. That's it.
And she makes another appearance at the
very end.
post-credits scene, where the video glitches out for a second, which I thought was super weird, until I realized that I don't. I was doing all my.
I saw that and I thought, oh, she just looks like Helly. They couldn't possibly get the actor
Here we go.
to come up.
It's called money.
Money,
It turns out
yeah.
if you have enough
The
money,
potato.
you can get
Oh,
it.
it didn't take my focus that time.
That's not even a
Hey,
cameo.
actor
That's,
on Apple
I did hear
TV
it,
show.
but like,
Stan Lee would have
I lost my sound for a second.
That's amazing.
No, that-
But
Stan-
it didn't actually interrupt
Stan Lee would have been
my controls and make me crash
Their
that
Pods
time.
segment was the most sort of like tech forward, where they were really pushing it in terms
Yeah,
of visuals.
yeah.
Also, I don't know if I'm sure Alex noticed.
Okay, I was
with
going slow on
the-
purpose there
talking
to,
about
in
music,
case
and there's a lot of background
the
sound
potato,
while
which
she's talking.
controls my
I
sound,
thought it was the
interrupted
most
my controls.
aggressively,
But
clearly looped dialogue of any of the performers. I think maybe that Apple employee also is not an expert at ADR, which nor should she be. But so it felt the most.
oh, all right.
artificial of
I guess
any
I need
of
to
the
get over the hell.
I think maybe that's why they made the visuals look that way.
I think a lot of things were looped.
Speed the hell up.
I think that there was a lot of ADR.
That was
Audio loops.
aggressive, though. That was really aggressively
So
re-recorded.
for,
'cause she-
for,
you
for the
could tell.
cineasts here, that's where you have after the fact additional dialogue recording.
Yeah.
You know, mashed potatoes in the background.
To get the lips.
Wait, what about mashed
with a clear
potatoes?
Audio track, and because the audio mixing on that, like because she's got a background, like when Jaws is standing there saying, "Oh, the new iPhone Pro is great," like you could probably capture that audio. Maybe not, right? Like it could
Well,
could
if
still
she's-
be ADR.
It depends on whether she was really outside or not. You know, the places that we thought when someone's on a cliff, we were thinking that's probably ADR.
The guy
when
in the
you're
boat with the wind blowing, right? Like no way.
Yeah, and we have to realize that, like, you know.
So is this
sometimes whole
person
movies are ADR,
is this
like
person
films.
really in a field?
I think she is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think she is. That would be. It would be.
It's
it'd be
easy to
good
do.
reason.
It's cheaper probably to put her as helicopter to a field than it is to bring her into the volume.
Yeah, there are places relatively close in Northern California
Yeah.
where you could do a shoot
Yeah.
like that. And then she might have also been on the same shoot as Jeff Williams. They might have
Right.
gone to Highway 120 and she's out in Tuolumne Meadows or something like that. Like you could do that in a couple
I thought
of
it might
days.
be Boulder Creek as you're going over 92 from 280 to Highway
even
1.
easier. Yeah, right.
That's like minutes
Yeah.
away from Cupertino.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. There's an interesting question though that now there are people who scour. Sorry, big truck outside.
We need ADR for Naco. Can you get in
We're gonna
here?
loop that. We're gonna loop that dialogue.
Don't loop that later.
I don't know why I spent so many hundreds of thousands of dollars having an LED stage put up just to make it look like I've got cheap shoji screens behind me. But you know what? I'm playing the double bluff. But yeah, I wonder if some people who are really, really, really into like reporting on like when's the date going to be and what are they showing, are they now going to start to look in California database for what companies have secured filming permits for what locations? Because those weren't stolen shots. This isn't. This isn't the View Askew universe.
It is that when you're working on a film, you spend
A
a
little
lot
close
of
on
time
the left.
obscuring that. So it would be a lot of work to figure that out. If you didn't talk to people who were, on the
I bet you guys had a lot of fun on Office Hours. There's a lot to look at.
There was a lot to
here.
dig into. I mean, I think that we spent 3/4 of the time talking about the event. I mean, the shoot. And only 1/4 of the time talking about the hardware because the hardware was good. We were like, oh, that's good, that's great. And but really,
Well,
the
there's some
focus
things
was
you
on
guys would have been interested
details.
in. Well, we'll get to that. I think the new, if it works, the new stabilization features in the iPhone camera for video.
The big thing
Action mode. Action mode.
I mean,
Gotta have
that's
a
going to
brand
put some
name for everything.
That's going to
Yeah,
scare
exactly.
DJI because that's going to put some gimbals out of business.
48
It's the
megapixel
binning.
ProRes. That's got to be interesting.
That's because of binning. That's because you have 48 pixels. You reduce it down. I don't know if it's 12 megapixels for 4K, but
I think it's
you
the binning
reduce,
is something we're really interested in.
and that way you can, and so you're not moving the sensor for OIS.
Right. The issue is that a CMOS
Come on,
sensor,
come on.
the red, green, and blue are not on top of each other. So every CMOS image is soft before it's sharpened. And so
You also get
when
jelly roll.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're still going to get that. In fact, the 48 is even
Give me a
harder
second,
to do
Gaffer. I am
because so much
unintelligently
more that
passing
you're
in a
pushing
tunnel.
through. That's a rolling shutter, and I don't think that they fixed that. So anyway,
For me, the iPhone is too boring.
that's the Pro.
Like an idiot, I stood at a hardware store and poked a new iPhone.
Says they're going to add a global shutter to
There's
the camera,
nothing
I'll
that
be
attracts me to buy it.
that's-
I mean, if you already have a phone.
They're taking all the.
I mean, I have an iPhone, and I don't really think there's much that will attract me to
but
buy it
the
because
interesting thing
I
is-
don't.
and I don't know what the configuration is inside.
I
the
don't
binning,
think
but
I need a
let's
new phone
say
because
if they have 4 times as
a
many
cool new
pixels as they
feature
need,
comes
or
out.
have a red, green, and blue, and
Like
in the pixel. In
the only reason I ended up getting an Apple
essentially the
Watch
same as saying you're stacking it
is
like a
for
Photon sensor.
me to be able to
And so
keep
12
data
megapixels
about my
potentially is
my
going to
very
be a lot
crappy
sharper
sleep,
and a lot,
so
it'll
that
be less
someday
dramatic.
when I might be
So
able
it'll
to
be a
have a
lot
doctor,
sharper
I will have
and potentially
records
much
of
better
it.
low light, which they talked about.
But
And so
ultimately,
we don't know
the
if that's case or
takeaway
not,
feature
but
for
it
the
was
Apple
really
Watch
fun.
was
Like, that's the
the
only
one
reason
that
I
lets
bought
me
it.
use it like a
I
watch,
just saw the phone,
where the
I thought
screen
maybe
can
now
stay
that
on
I
all
got-
the time.
I gotta know if this works.
What was your experience like? Well, actually, let's take a break.
Most
We'll
boring,
talk about
most boring,
Friday,
boring
5
phone of
a.m.
2022. Probably not. But I don't really keep track of phones.
Refresh. It was not a good experience.
Oh, shit.
All right, first though, I love it. The day after.
I don't really keep
we
track of
got
phones,
Apple,
so
so much to talk about.
I watch Apple events
Alex
because
Z,
they're
Jason
one of the
Snell,
few
Andrew
events that
Notko.
can
Our show
consistently
today
get
brought to you
little
by
wows or ooh or yes, I want that
You wanna
features
get
and stuff like
Notko.
that.
I know a lot of our
But
audience,
I didn't
you
have
watch
like
our shows. You're tech
really
geeks.
almost any of
But
those
maybe it's a
reactions at
hobby
this
for
last
you.
event.
Maybe you've
So
got a job you're not as crazy about as your hobby. Wouldn't you like to make your hobby your job? That's what it's all about with IT Pro TV. The best possible
hey.
IT training, whether you're getting
One
into
second.
IT,
They're having their first
and
ad
for that,
break.
you usually need some
Let's not do
certs,
that.
like the A+ cert to kind of prove.
Do
that
I
you
have a
the
skip
skills
forward?
to
Do I have
get
skip
that first
forward?
job, or you're already. It's time for Mac Break.
I do
In
not.
IT, and you want to accelerate your career. You want to defeat. They have practice tests, so you could take the exams before. IT Pro TV has training for.
Wow.
ProRes video that it's potentially
4
recording.
minutes worth
It's
of
not-
ads.
Saving a raw 48 megapixel image is not going to be that big of a deal.
I guess you're right.
But-
Yeah.
That's longer than
It'll be
Twitch
70
ads.
Megabytes, right? Roughly.
But
Give or
a
take.
48 megapixel on that chip size, I don't have.
But at least they were being done by the
We'll see
by the
how it
presenter.
turns out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not super optimistic about the quality of the
right.
raw image. I'm really excited about the quality of the.
Hey,
12 megapixel.
Pepsi,
Yeah.
you ever want to
Listening
sponsor my
and all
stream?
that. Although
I'll do an ad for
it'll
you.
Be interesting because they may put post-processing capabilities into.
I can do an ad.
for instance, that understands ProRAW.
Those type of things pay okay, right?
Computational magic that they do in.
That'd be
real
good.
time. And if you can do it without having to do it in real time, you might do it better, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
The-
yeah,
the-
absolutely.
Another factor is that Adobe is working on what they are promoting as almost like the camera app of all camera apps, the czar of computational photography.
Damn, dropping
Well, originally was
frames.
with Adobe, was steering Google's computational photography for a while. Now he's back at Adobe. He's leading a team to develop an app that will bring computational photography hopefully to the next level.
And then Tech never
not
came back
just,
from
hey,
getting
look,
donuts.
We balanced the exposure, but hey, look, we noticed that you can't see the moon because it's washed out because your sensor can't do it. Would you like?
He went for
calculate what
donuts
the
and he
moon
didn't
should look like
return.
and stick it in the sky for you? That kind of stuff. And so for that kind of stuff, that makes it much more interesting when a developer like that can get access to the full 48 megapixels. I agree. I agree with Alex. Like I've always thought that, wouldn't it be great to have RAW on my camera phones? Then I look at the RAW image, like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll dump the JPEG into Photoshop because it's so much nicer looking. But yeah,
but the Halide folks, I'm sure, are they're licking their chops.
100%.
Adobe is with their Photoshop camera. I mean, yeah, this could be very interesting.
I mean, I guess I would say I know more about the iPhones every year than I know about anything going on Android phones.
Pixel, so you can do image stabilization. One of the things that they're doing that I think is clever is
so I don't know.
adding
I don't know what's a boring phone. What's a boring phone?
By doing a 12 megapixel crop at the center of
Shouldn't phones be more boring?
And as Alex said, we'll see, because then they're not able
Hey,
to do binning.
you want to know the biggest selling point for a future iPhone for me?
I heard a bunch of people are like, oh,
smaller.
Zoom. It's like, it's not.
I hate the bigness of all these smartphones. I really do. I have the smallest iPhone you can currently purchase, and it's still bigger than I want. I want a smaller phone.
12 megapixels worth of sensor. Now, we'll see what the quality is there, but one of the challenges with all these cell phones is, having different zooms when you can't actually move the lens. And so this essentially gives that iPhone Pro a fourth camera, which is the zoomed to the crop. Sorry, I said zoom.
I don't mind be like, don't know why I feel so good? Drinks Fanta with the label in the camera. First of all, I don't know that I've ever drank a Fanta. I feel so energized and refreshed. Don't you know why?
Because the store didn't open.
I mean, but you're not wrong, right?
For us. Now, people in the
I like Pepsi Throwback. I could sell it on the fact that it's made with real sugar, which is dramatically rare in America for something to be made with actual sugar.
I had preset my order, and I did have to quit the app, and I used the Apple app. I quit and reloaded it a couple of times, and then it popped in. And
almost all soda in America is made with high fructose corn syrup, which is not just bad, but kind of toxic for you. It makes fat stick around. It's not at all the same as like regular sugar. Like regular sugar, though sugar isn't actually good for you, regular sugar is better for you than high fructose corn syrup.
And then it just went into a loop, and I wasn't sure if it took the
and
that's happened to me in the past.
What used to be called Pepsi Throwback, and I don't know why it's not called that anymore, and is currently called Pepsi with real sugar, is tasty. I think it tastes better than regular Pepsi, and it's better for you than most sodas.
Page. Mine had not, but I was able to, with careful finagling of the settings, I am going to be
sugar in our food products. Most things in America, because of the way that corporations have won against our government, like so many other products, like we were talking about earlier with for-profit prisons and stuff like that. The big, like Monsanto, like big corn companies, are the ones who produce the corn, the sugar-like substance of high fructose corn syrup derived from corn that goes into most of the products. And if not corn sugar, or not, if not high fructose corn syrup, then corn starch. They're both from corn because corn can be mass produced. But as far as like products made with real sugar, they are much fewer than products made with unreal sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and high fructose corn syrup is actually a little bit toxic for you.
And so yeah, I tried to do an Apple Pay on Apple Card on the second transaction, and that one didn't go through.
I don't know why you're Lamau, but come on. It is part of the reason that Americans are so fat and dying from being fat and having diabetes.
I just went to sleep. Anyway,
like
the watch was easy. I ordered
the HFCF is
a little distracted during the event. As soon as
is a real problem.
I immediately ordered an Ultra. Because I will be scuba diving.
Are you laughing at my explanation? I am unclear.
Climbing Everest, all that stuff. I can't wait to bring it down to 100 meters.
I'm just going to be walking near doorknobs as usual, and so that's why I think I'll save money just by having this thing where the titanium edge of the case actually goes above the sapphire crystal. So yeah, that's what I feel like. That's the extreme sports that I'm into. Yeah.
I feel like that I now that I ordered the Ultra, I kind of felt like I need to go out and buy a Jeep Rubicon.
Yes,
to drive to
exactly. With a snorkel. With a
yeah,
snorkel.
with snorkel.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that snorkel.
Yeah, gotta have
Jeep
that snorkel.
Rubicon with the extra large tires.
Yeah, because you might be going underwater anytime,
Exactly.
crossing that big, weird, wide,
Amphibious
muddy river.
build out.
I'm laughing because you use corn instead of regular sugar.
Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
The watch comes the 23rd.
I mean,
if
out
you
of
were
context,
lucky. Jason,
it's
so what did
hilarious.
You were able to order
Like,
for the 16th.
you might see me drinking
Yeah,
these
this is-
on
so
stream
my
a lot.
son is going away to college,
My
and
mom
so
buys
he
them
gets
all the
the,
time.
He gets his first
I think they're sold at
so he got
maybe
one.
Aldi.
Special day.
But the
Yeah, but
reason
that's
that
what we
I'm
did for
drinking
my
these
daughter
and not
for
like
her
cans
birthday.
of
We got the
soda
base model,
is because
the
usually cans of soda,
123
like cans of soda,
124
are
is
almost
around
all,
20.
like I said, high
He's got a
fructose corn
handy
syrup.
iPhone 10, so he's
And
gonna
because
have a good
sugar
upgrade
is
to
more
the base
expensive,
model in midnight he chose, and we got him a
most of our
blue
grocery
silicone case
stores
for it that he
near
also
the
chose, and
end of the
I hope he
ongoing
enjoys it,
pandemic
but,
and
yeah,
forced
that's the coming of age moment here, is like
inflation that
we're
we're
gonna
having,
to school with a new iPhone.
it's hard to,
Jason,
like, I haven't
it's
seen
IP68,
the
but
Pepsi, the real
is
sugar
that
Pepsi on the
tested
store
against
shelves
a
in
father's
weeks
three tears?
because it's more expensive to make.
Yes,
And, than just using corn. But also, these glass bottles that my mom buys of soda
That, Andy. But
are usually made with real sugar, so that's what we've been going to instead. But
yeah, exactly. I've
buying them in
observed
individual
this from the benches. I
glass
have
bottles
had
is
those realizations that, gee,
even
why-
more
why
expensive
Sheila,
than
like,
buying
they're
sugar
calling me
soda
and
in
like,
cans.
Oh, she just sent her first kid off to college, and she's feeling
Like,
the whole
it
thing.
is.
It's a whole terrible thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
This is your first, right? Going to college?
most stuff in America
Oh, your last.
isn't
So that's
optimal for
actually
the
worse.
people using it,
This is
and
the
it's not
empty
optimal
nest.
because of something to do with
Now just wait for the
corporations
dog to die and
and
let
the
kids-
oligarchy that runs our government.
A couple weeks ago, so there's nothing left in the house.
Perfect.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way you described it earlier, it sounds like your police are
Yep, it's
working,
empty
but
house.
That's cruel, but it is
Empty house.
Yeah, it's an interesting adjustment.
until recently,
Yeah, I have-
the
I
police have
think
been like our only
as a
properly
baby,
functioning union.
floating in Hawaii,
And,
in Hawaiian warm waters.
I know.
You know, they're-
Your wife's
She,
chest
she's,
on-
she's about
They're
to turn
the
21
power
as
of
a
the
senior
state.
in college, Andy.
Yeah.
So they're not like
Anyway, I'm
protecting
sorry
the
about-
workers;
sorry, no,
they're
no,
protecting the
no,
establishment,
Yeah, no, I mean,
the
no, you're right. You nailed it. We're like, oh my god.
the
what
rich,
is
the
universe doing to us?
corporations.
'Cause the kids are both going to be out of the house and the dog dies.
Back to
Because
phones are
literally,
a small
we have
one.
cats.
Get a Samsung
No, cats.
Z Flip 4. It sounds like a flip phone.
Comfort.
Time to get a Sprinter van.
Yes.
I own a Galaxy
the
Fold
world.
3, and a year later, the flexible screen feels so good. Wait, flexible screen?
So good. And Andy, you
Look,
decided not to
I
order?
don't-
I can't remember. Did you?
I have been a big proponent of unflipping phones for the longest period of time. I once had my family replace my non-flip phone that didn't exist anymore with a hard-to-track-down model version because I just wanted the same phone again. That was the-
So I think that if I'm going to try to engineer it so that the 2-week return window happens within that weekend.
I don't remember what
I have a
brand it
feeling
was.
that
I think it might have been
cosplay
Motorola. It
photos
was a
and
Razr.
opera photos from the cheap seats and
Not to be confused with the Sliver,
and,
which is
and
the version that
particularly
flips.
some darker chai, I think would be interesting things to test.
I
with
will
the
confess.
But
I
I'm
will
fine-
confess,
but I'm
I
fine
pretend
with
that
the
I'm
phone I
getting it
have.
for the radio show.
I will
Really,
replace
I'm
this
getting
phone when it
this
dies,
23rd.
and not before.
Most-
Probably
most-
not
most
before.
of the company's going to see Roger Waters.
Hey, Razer, you know Razer.
And,
Yeah,
I
Razer.
love to try out these phones in concert photos. That's a great way
Absolutely.
to play with them.
You got to have a live fire
All right.
exercise. That's
Let's
one of the
take
things that-
exercise.
This
That's one of the things
probably
that
last
make
rest.
COVID
Yeah,
offensive.
definitely last
It's
rest
like, I
opportunity.
can't go to the library. I can't go to a sporting event. I can't go to the places where, I mean, whoever I'm in lockdown with, congratulations. You have a featured role in my product review this week, and camera test this week.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to talk about. What do we think of the Ultra? This was
Okay.
pretty much as rumored by the time the rumor mill was done.
We're gonna have so much money.
Did
Okay.
you order one, Jason? or
Did
are
we
you
have
gonna
a
stick with the
garage
regular old
open?
Apple Watch?
I'm going to stick to the regular old Apple
All right,
Watch.
let's grab a new
I can
garage.
see the appeal, and I've definitely talked to friends who like the style of it. I mean, it is.
That's what you wanted,
when I-
Andy, right? Like the
Garage
G-Shock
purchase.
style
Yeah.
Apple Watch, yeah.
Like
I
like
appreciate
you keep saying
the
it.
fact
Let's
that they
see.
embraced
Luga,
the
St.
sports
Petersburg,
nature of it and
Moscow.
didn't
Okay.
just, make it a larger size.
I think I
Apple
need
Watch.
one near
It really
Paris.
is different. It looks different. I appreciate that they did that. It will still be aspirational to a lot of
I don't know
people,
where
just
Paris
like I
is.
think we said
There it
last
is.
week. Some people buy a big 4x4 Jeep and they live in the suburbs and they never go
And the
off-roading,
money is rolling
they
in.
like how it looks, and like there will be those
1.8
people that
euros
make
per
the
week?
mistake. This
Yeah,
is a
well,
4x4
it's
on
snowballing.
the Apple
It's
Watch.
snowballing.
It
I
is
actually
that
got
too.
the. I'm such an idiot. The band that you can
Why
stretch to.
why
fit
aren't
on
you
your
making that
website.
much money?
As if.
Are you not expanding your empire?
Well, look, if you honestly,
Maybe
Leo, if
over
you have
my
the most-
jammies, but
if,
not.
if you have the most expensive watch, Apple Watch, you want to put it like above over your winter coat so people can see it.
Yes,
Like
that's
this
right.
is I say without sarcasm that this I think is like the Omega Speedmaster of Apple Watches, where there are so many
Man,
people
I
who
can
actually
almost
buy
get a garage
these
and a new driver by
$6,000,
resting twice in a row.
$20,000 watches actually use the chronograph features of it. They buy it because they like the engineering of it, they like the styling of it, and to a certain extent, they also like, hey, look, I'm a fancy adult who can afford
0.8?
like, really fancy grown-up watches.
0.8?
And if it does look like a couple of like,
I'm running
Oreo
out. I'm
cookies
hiring
on
drivers
my
so
wrist,
fast
it's
that
a
they
big
can't be
thing.
repopulated.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to want to have it to show it off. I have to say that in a world in which
Not
it doesn't matter
buying DAF
as
2021 from a
democratic
not
as the
not
Apple Watch
Ivenco.
design has always been.
Well, you
where
don't
how
have
much money you
to.
spend on it. It's still that same.
When I get to the
rectangular
point where I have
case
too
that
much money that I
everybody
can't
has
keep
had
up,
since version 0.
I'm going
Like,
to
now we
buy a
have
more
a
expensive
visual
truck.
distinction
Well, my
where
engine
no,
malfunctioned.
I don't
Well, that's
have-
probably
I
bad.
don't have like the
I think that's probably bad.
$250
And it's raining
edition.
again.
I have like the really fancy sports watch because I am that special in that particular.
Alex, did you got the Ultra? Yes, Alex.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping. I really
One
like
truck,
the look of
130
this. I
euros?
think that's the
Well,
biggest
that's-
thing.
Yeah, me too. And
That's totally doable. I just
right
decided to go
between-
for the cheapest
thought
because
the
I wanted the
combo
biggest
was
money
very
payout the
interesting.
quickest.
Just twirl the knob and it goes to red.
I don't have any special attachments to
For
any of
not
these
merely
trucks.
for diving,
I'm
but
literally-
for production.
I'm doing the
There was
capitalism.
enough there.
Okay?
It's not like, you know.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the
I
capitalism.
have aspirations of diving. I haven't dived for.
The least expensive truck so I can tell my employees that I got them a truck
I love scuba diving.
I'm not certified,
and that they can
but I've done it a
use to
couple
do
times.
missions and make money for me.
Reef, which is check.
Yeah, so
I'm doing the
this is one of
capitalism.
Things that I want to get back to, but I haven't done it for a long time. And
I'm afraid if I wear that watch,
I
the
will say-
dive master will say, you're all right. Go on in."
yeah, exactly. We did talk a lot in office hours about the fact that that little company who is making the customization for the dive
Yeah.
calculator. I was like, wow, did they just step into a big?
They don't.
like
have,
it
they
was-
have no idea.
Well, but I mean, it's just so much money. Like they,
Oh, well,
they you know, they
And I
probably-
want
it's
Gaffer
still-
says, and I want my company to be the most cool one when I show off.
It's not even a publicly traded company.
Well,
Yeah,
Gaffer, I mean, I'm a long way from the end of this game.
This is
My
like- they've been
intention,
working this way,
hopefully,
they've been having this little
is to
vertical
get
and-
myself an awesome truck
Push.
with my Improvision Entertainment or possibly Star Coast or Earthsaver branding on it,
about what they do, and it's
and
I love the fact that
situate
this little company
all
that,
of my employees in that
relatively
same very
small
nice
other
truck
companies has
and
been
have
doing
them
this
be
for a
making
very long
bank
time.
each
They're
week.
passionate about what they do,
But
and Apple just
I think my cutoff for that will
It's
be
like pure gold. You know, like and so
probably when I can afford a warehouse and drivers for every hour I drive. Like-
we listen.
Like I've described a couple of times, I've reached the snowball effect where I am slowly making so much money it's getting more difficult to spend it. So, what I need to do is set the time aside to actually make custom truck skins.
And it's-
Figure out
and
which
there is-
truck
my
I
understanding
want.
is there's no
Which one would you
equivalent
recommend?
Like the Garmin things have much longer battery life. They have a lot of things going for it. This is
Like,
Apple
what I
Watch
want
and right below them
is
is
most
something
important to
you really
me
need to get
is that when I go
and
into this car view,
and we'll see where they go from
I
here.
want
They have
everything to be
features over the
super
next few
readable in
years
the bottom of the
designed
screen,
in order to
and preferably not all one color,
that low end of the Garmin
but
market.
definitely not all
Apple
red.
wants
Because one of the
to get
trucks
that
is like
super
all red on the
high-end
inside, and I don't want
watch
that at
market. I
all.
think they want the kind of broad swath of people who feel adventure enough that they want that Garmin watch, and then they look at Apple.
Because
and
they,
they're
they
like, "Oh,
honestly, they
okay,
all seem to
I can have a watch do
to
this."
handle about the
That's
same and
right
have
with
power
it.
about the same.
This is going to be one of the most interesting.
So
release
I don't
cycles
really
I
have
think of
any,
any product that I can think of. That it's going to take in
like,
the next 3 or 4 months. We're going
vested
to see
interest
actual
in
people
any
for which
particular
this
truck or
watch was
brand.
designed really treat it like with the sort of task that it was designed for. So when you're training for a marathon, not simply to complete it or not simply say, hey, this might be the year I break 4 hours, but to say I'm training for this marathon because I want to qualify for the Olympics or I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Or when you really are going to be out there for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days rock and rolling over the rocks, these are the people that are really going to tell us.
Also,
whether
Gaffer,
they've
do you
actually
know
met
if there's a
standards.
way to
Yeah,
open
there are
up
also
the
people who
transparent
will
map
end
in
up
single player?
Going a little
The one
farther
that goes to the
with
full screen? Is there a
fitness
button
and
for
with
that?
the
Or is that
sports.
not a
It's like,
feature
hey, I
in
got the
single
watch, I should
player?
really try some of this stuff.
Because I really like it in
I-
multiplayer.
There's something about a watch where once you have that faith that there is nothing.
Then I could kind of like plan my
destroy
trip
this.
without
Yeah,
pausing the
I-
game.
my wrist is not as strong as this watch, so I can go for it. Like I've mentioned that a couple times when
I'm
we're
not sure
talking about this.
that you'll break your wrist before you break our watch. Is exactly
I'm
the
serious,
model.
like anything. No, but I'm saying that this is why I have a Casio G-Shock, and it's been one of my
Right,
favorite watches for
right.
12 years. Because if I'm gonna spend like 2 or 3 days, and I know that maybe I'm going to be at the beach, maybe I'm going to be in salt water, I know that the box that this camera or this
Oh, no.
or this whatever came in says it
Think
can
maybe-
be immersed
Oh, wait,
in
hold on.
salt water for a small amount of time. But I know that the G-Shock will absolutely do it.
Right.
Once you get to the point where there's some scratches and there's some scuffs, and this Apple Watch Ultra
That's a
has
lot of
been through some
choices.
stuff, and now you trust it to absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll have to,
work
like,
no matter what
taste
you
test 'em,
put it
like,
through. That's
go
gonna
in cab
be
mode.
Quite an achievement for Apple.
Now, I do have to point out, Hartley Charlton, writing for Mac Rumors, points out that the chip in the new watches, including the Ultra, is the same chip that was in the S6, or the last 2 generations of Apple Watches. The S6 and S7 chips
I
are
still
the
think
same.
I don't think we're pushing the watch that hard. It's not like we're
exactly.
recording video on it, so I don't know if it's necessary.
Same T8301 identifier as the CPU in the S7 and S6 chips. I mean, they haven't updated the chip since the Series 6.
Well,
The other
processors,
thing-
I fell in love
because
with an
the
interior.
package has,
The package
different,
has other features.
sensors and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that the other thing is that this is version 1, and what I'm really interested to see is version 2 or 3. When exactly what Andy said, when people start going out. And
Did I
giving
just get
Apple
caught for
feedback,
speeding?
This is just the beginning. And so it's, and I think that part of this comes from Cook's personality. I mean, he's really into exercise. He's really into fitness. He's really into a lot of those things. And so this has probably, got a little bit more juice than a lot of other ideas.
Guadacon Prudu.
Some commenter on Mac Rumors says, sometimes when I'm swimming in the
You
ocean,
say
I
keep
pause
left?
to run Geekbench. Yeah, that's probably.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I got
that's
X's
probably a
over
good
there.
point. Carlton says one
Arrows,
explanation
I
for
mean.
Apple not advancing the CPU technology.
Achievement unlocked. Many roads
is
lead
that
to
even if they
Rome.
use
Ladies
the
and gentlemen,
new
we
14
have
or
completed
16
the
core, 55
Italian
or 4 nanometer
Italia
processor.
DLC
All
for
you
Euro
do is
Truck
performance
Simulator 2.
improvements.
Now all we have to do is drop off our delivery. We did it. We did it. We did it.
CPU utilization.
And then we can have the chat vote on where we go to next.
It's
32
using
gigs of
like
storage.
8%.
You're not
Well,
seeing
Gaffer's here.
more storage
Gaffer,
in these new watches,
What
but 32
what should we
gigs is a
attempt to
lot for the
focus
price
on
your
after
wrist,
Italy?
I think.
I think that
We
when it
did
comes to upgrading
Scandinavia
CPUs in their
DLC
watches, all they care
already.
about is extending battery life.
So-
As performance-wise, until they
What do you
put-
think?
No, I'm going to correct myself before I even say it. I don't see anything that they could add to it at this point outside of satellite communication that is going to be beyond the capability.
Can you
of,
okay
of-
for the
of
Scania
current
truck?
CPUs.
Can you
The
customize the
iPhone CPUs are the same way, where they're
The-
I like to say they're.
I almost said
suspiciously
heads-up
overpowered
display,
for
but
what
that's
they're
not
being asked
correct.
to do.
the dashboard? Can you
Apple
customize
did
the
a
dashboard?
Very savvy politically, I think, thing by focusing. They have one new feature in the new watch, which is temperature, and they only focused it on cycle tracking, ovulation, retroactive ovulation prediction, things like that, and so they really focused it on features for women, and I think that was actually very smart. In fact, it was almost the first long segment in the whole event. I
And
think
they'll-
very savvy. I think this is really smart of Apple at this time to say, look, don't use those period tracking apps. We know they're not private.
Yeah.
We've got a watch. This is going to do it for you. In fact, it's going to do so much more. Very, very savvy. Politically, I think, savvy of Apple.
I believe that they actually spent more time talking about the privacy related to that feature than
Yep.
the technology behind it, which is absolutely no accident. It's actually very, very important, and it also leverages something that's signature with Apple. You can as much as you can trust any huge company, you can trust Apple when it comes to if Apple themselves are going to try to make sure that they themselves cannot see your data unless they absolutely positively need to see it. So wasn't it Mozilla that did an audit of period tracking apps and found that out of 25, 18 of them had such vague privacy promises within their terms of agreement that it was a very much an open question about
Can I
they
hear the
see your
question,
data?
please?
Yes. Would they
My
simply hand it
question
over to
was-
any interested law enforcement personality who's
Now that I
looking
have
for it?
finished
Maybe. You can't trust
Italy
people.
Italia DLC for
David
Euro Truck
Schaub
Simulator
in
2,
IRC says,
What
Cook likes health, like
DLC
jobs,
or
like music.
achievement
actually very
specifically
apt.
would you like to see me go for
Very
next?
Correct. I think that's true. I think it is a passion of Tim Cook, and I think that
Maybe
it's
not this
matched
stream,
the
but
Apple Watch, right?
maybe the next
I think
stream?
It's interesting. This temperature sensor. On one level, I agree completely. I think the way that they did it, and they talked about cycle tracking, and they talked about privacy, I thought that was really good. I mean, part of me wonders if they realized that temperature sensor was something they could do on the watch, and then it was a matter of like trying to find out what could they actually tell with the temperature sensor. I heard from somebody, I know we've been speculating about like, do you have a fever or something like that? I heard from a doctor who said the weird thing about it is when you get a fever, your temperature is concentrated on your core and your extremities get colder.
Finland?
So it actually would be bad, for that.
Interesting.
And so, like, I do wonder if part of this was Apple kind of hunting for what the
Wait, is this not open?
right use of that sensor
No,
might
it's open.
be, since
Okay.
it's a sensor they could build in. And I think it's also interesting that the biology gets in the way, too, in that they have to do this tracking overnight because they can't get a reliable signal during the day in terms of, because it's too inconsistent. So you
Finland,
have to be able to watch
okay.
overnight in order to
Wait,
do the
hold on,
cycle
wait.
tracking.
Didn't I already do Finland?
Even so, they have
Isn't that
two
Scandinavia?
sensors, one at the top exposed to the air, one
Yeah.
at the bottom exposed to the skin. It's really, for something you'd think was so simple. I mean, for like glucose reading, you think is okay. Well, that's going to be the moonshot feature. Even just getting having a relevant feature for temperature sensing, that is actually not moonshot, but it's at least like Gemini rendezvousing in orbit in terms of an achievement.
Well, I'm just glad I got the Ocean Band that'll fit over my jammies. That's all.
There you go.
Yeah.
And your spacesuit.
Bit of a bedwetter, aren't we? No problem.
And your sports jacket.
And
I
my
mean,
sports-
you know, it's
sports got right over the
I'm
top.
making sure it's white.
Ah,
so
Spain
when
or
you wear a gray
Portugal?
one, it just pops out. Yeah.
Iberian Peninsula, right? Yeah, I could do Iberian Peninsula. But I'm just trying to remember if,
Good news. There was a rumor that the
yeah,
band would not
Finland
fit
was
into the new watches
Scandinavia,
for
right?
the
I
old
think I handled it.
sensors.
I think I handled
Still
Scandinavia.
the same size.
Not that I won't necessarily be back there someday, but
Could have Apple to do that. They could have made them something that you had
I am-
all new bands.
I'm trying to like
and that
make
was
sure I'm
nice.
always making progress on the achievements.
You had
Yeah, for
actually.
all of the punditry about Apple trying to suck money out of you for everything, and like you got to have a new case for the new iPhone. It isn't compatible with the old case, and like they don't care. Look, if they wanted to suck money out of people with the Apple Watch bands, they could have done that so easily. And we are 8 years into the Apple Watch era, 7.5 years into the Apple Watch era, and they still haven't broken band compatibility. So I got to say, like, they don't make you pay up for every accessory at every turn. I think there's a lot of restraint happening with Apple Watch bands.
But you point out in your article, which was very good at sixcolors.com, underestimating Apple's bold
$231 euros from Jan.
That Apple's focus these days.
What the hell,
is,
Jan?
ARPU, average
you wreck?
revenue per user, and increasing the use of Apple's services,
Right.
and ancillary products like watches and AirPods. That's where the money comes.
Yeah, Ben sort of
Might have been a new
backtracked on that
driver.
today, which I
Oh,
thought
did
was
he?
funny. But I think well, just sort of. I think the point is, if Apple was all in on
I've
services,
been quoting them all weekend. Gosh darn you, Ben.
oh, you gotta watch. Well, he said if they were all in, they could have cut prices, right? And they didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's true. But it does point out something where if all that Apple cared about was making money on hardware, they probably would have raised prices in the U.S. on these models, and they didn't.
They didn't. Yeah.
They did overseas because foreign exchange is a problem for them. The dollar's very strong. But in the U.S., they held the line when I think almost everybody, I think we underestimated Apple, right? We thought, oh, well, they're going to raise prices. That's what they're going to do. There's inflation. They can make some money out of this. And they didn't do that.
Yeah, but
And
Apple,
Ben's argument,
but
which I found,
not Apple.
pretty solid,
American
is when
consumers
you're trying to increase
are
your install
super
base
elitist
and
about
get revenue
prices,
per user up,
and I think more so than other
erecting
countries.
barriers so people aren't able
It's
to
the reason
buy
they
iPhones
didn't
and what you want to
increase the
do,
price
and
of
they
the
already make
PlayStation
a
5
pretty
over
good
here.
profit on their iPhones. They don't
Is
actually
because,
do
man,
that step.
Americans are
And again,
so
like they
entitled
could have. They could have very
that they
easily bumped
just
the
would
Pro
throw a
$50 or
fit
$100
if you
and
raised the
they
price
very
on them
specifically
with
didn't
stuff.
do that, at least in the U.S.
I say,
There's a very
having
strong story
actually just
going on
realized
with this,
that all of food has gone
sample
up like
tracking.
double
There's
what
a
it
very
was
strong
3 years
story that
ago.
Apple's now making, not just on
And
privacy,
I don't
but
really
on
hear
health,
people
and not just
complaining
on
about
health.
that, other than
But
amongst
there's
their
a little
family.
subtlety here, protecting you, taking care
So I
of
don't know
you.
how that works.
You
They'll
know,
save your life.
you're in the good hands. Yeah, well, there's the crash detection,
That
right?
was they really kicked it up a notch with the not just I'm talking about the video for that
Yep.
kicked off the Apple
At
Watch
the
thing.
beginning,
That,
yeah.
That wasn't just like a tender, uplifting story about how someone, hey, I didn't know I had this heart problem, but now I did, and now I get to cook. I know
Apple saves lives.
Now it's like, dude, I'm sorry. I thought I bought an Apple Watch for my kid because I love him and I don't want him to die. But hey, if you buy your kid not everyone loves their kids.
From my perspective, I was like, that's not a bunch of news clippings. I mean, that was a full-on like Avengers level visual effects shot. Like
they were like,
they reconstructed an airplane crash scene.
Yeah, that was the thing that actually I didn't like, which was they put people in the scenes of their disaster.
They made the girl who was in the plane crash sit in a set of a broken plane.
That's triggering.
Really like how Apple advertises the watch?
That was a bit. That was.
Oh, hello, welcome back, Ratchet.
The larger point, which is that, and this is a line that is difficult for them to walk.
I haven't really seen Apple advertise the watch, but yeah, that opening segment about like
we'll save your life and we're
our watch will save your life segment was really hardcore.
They don't want to go a little too far, but it is an important point, right? Like the whole argument about the crash detection, which is in the phone and the watch. They emphasized it for the watch, but it's in the phone.
1 second, I am in a curve.
Sensors, so if you get in a car crash, it detects it and it can call for help. And the satellite communication thing on the iPhone, which I think is going to be a big deal.
They're not afraid to bring up difficult topics.
Bring your iPhone with you. There will be, and if you're Apple, you can take.
I mean, true.
A little bit lighter hand here because you know that over the next year there's just going to be news stories that make the point for you, right? Because I guarantee you, sometime this winter, somebody's going to get lost on a snowy road somewhere, and they're going to be able to call for help with the satellite call for help feature, and everybody's.
And that's going to make the news.
Somebody's going to fall in a trash compactor wearing a Pixel 6 watch, and it ain't going to end so good.
No, not for the watch or the person.
That was a little.
Yeah, that was.
I fell into the garbage truck, but thank God I was wearing my Apple Watch. Wow.
I hate to sound like I'm this much of a nerd, but I was thinking that. But isn't that like a steel container? How did the signal get out through the steel?
Maybe his hand was sticking out. I don't know.
Maybe.
The Apple Watch stopped the compactor.
I do feel like
the Bluetooth got just far enough to get to his iPhone. Which
clever.
Hell, that's
I do feel like they're milking it a little too much. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that's really good. Yeah. And the second time I saw it, I was like, yeah, okay. And then this one, I was like, like too much. So hopefully they'll back away from that.
Yeah. But I do think that the overall message
all right.
will get out. See, remember, not a small percentage of Apple.
As we reach the end of this recording,
what they're much interested in is the ripples that extend from the event via journalists, and by
I want to thank everyone who was with me on this journey of
and I think it's a very
all of Italy
clear
completion.
Signal, you're in good hands with Apple. Is I think a very
how many hours until you've got to go to uni, Gaffer?
Exactly. The good hands people.
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson doing commercials for Apple. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I've said this before, so I will just say this very, very briefly. It once again makes me wish that why doesn't Apple allow people who do not have iPhones to use the Apple Watch? And I know it's because they want lock-in, they want it to sell iPhones, but the more that
I hope that Samsung will add those features.
We're saving. Look how many
Apple has on their watch.
As almost a holy thing for us. It's like but
I want everybody to use Apple's features because I like Apple's features, and I think that more competition is. Oh, that whoops. I didn't think this through.
A little crack in the dam there, Andy, and it was a subtle announcement that they made, but I think it's interesting, which is they announced.
Like, I believe in competition, which is why I'm, even though I don't really play NFL football games because they're all terrible, because they're all Madden, and all of the Madden games are terrible now, and have been for over a decade. It's because they're monopoly. Only one company gets to make the games, and they can make them as absolutely shitty as anybody. It's the same problem with the wrestling games being SmackDown. And why I look forward to AEW's next game by Ukes.
So,
and it's not like the first generation
model.
5.5 hours before uni? Alright.
Apple Watches where it was pretty
I don't think I can make another 5 hours, but I could probably make it to the end of the Smack Break Weekly. Well, I might be able to make it longer than that.
Device right now, so
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to do a long stream.
all
We'll
the
see how it
best reasons
goes.
For them not to do it. I just think that it's a shame that they don't. That they don't.
Well,
they
tying
didn't
I
don't
have
think
that
it's-
same iPod moment where they
Oh.
said, if we make this Mac exclusive, we'll have
Yeah,
a reason for
man.
reason to buy Macs. If we
My
make-
sleeping
if
is
we
so
make
messed
a-
up, I
a
thought it was
Windows
later in the day than
compatible,
it is.
Then we'll have reason for the entire world to buy iPhones from us, and we'd rather take the money from everyone.
But yeah, I want more
iTunes
competition
on-
in more
on
places.
Windows, maybe.
As
why
much as
they
I
don't
want
do it very often.
Sony to
It was
fail
a
and stop
disaster.
being a company that
Like, it was
makes
a complete-
like
it was
hostile
considered
gaming
a
environments and
disaster
whatnot.
technologically,
I mean,
and it was a huge
theoretically,
mess, and I don't think anyone wants to go
they
back there. Like,
facilitate
I- I-
competition.
It's a different, totally different world now.
Yeah, if you
I-
leave
I-
Android out of it, though, like, why not let iPad users use it? I think that's the thing is that
I
right
agree with
now
that.
you literally can't use it unless you're a parent who buys an SE, cellular SE for your kid, right? But other than that, and that is still
My
set
Galaxy
up
Watch
inside
can't warn me if my
an
pulse is low, if
iPhone.
oxygen is
But
low
if
when
you
I
could
fall.
expand it
Exactly.
just out a little bit so that somebody who doesn't have an iPhone but has an
Well,
iPad or a
Ratchet,
Mac could use it.
You see,
and Andy's
I see
exactly
Sony
right.
as
It used to
consumer
be
hostile,
just a mirror of the
and I want
iPhone.
less
Right now,
consumer
it's a
hostility.
much more standalone kind of product. You can
Like
you can
companies
walk
like
outside away from your
Ubisoft
iPad still
and-
use it
I'm sorry,
and
Ubisoft
have it be useful, especially
and
if it's a standalone model.
Blizzard
That would
and
be
stuff
nice.
like that are
And we'll
hostile
see.
to their
And there's
employees,
plus change
which I
there.
also don't
I
want.
agree. Question, that
But
was
I don't
in
want
our
a
issue.
company
We couldn't really
actively
quite figure it
hostile
out. Can you
to
make and
consumers.
receive phone calls on a cellular equipped iPhone without the phone? I mean, Apple Watch without the phone present.
Absolutely. I do
can
that all
make-
the time.
you can make
I go
calls.
running. I
Yeah.
go running, and all I have are my AirPods and my Apple Watch.
Okay.
And I can stream audio. I can answer calls. I can make calls.
Make
You can
calls
make
was the
calls with
question.
you can make calls with Siri, or you can open the
Okay.
phone app and actually type in the number. And
How
call
is
somebody.
it doing it? Is it connecting back to your
Sony
phone?
is good for
No,
stuff.
it has its
Yeah.
own- so
Products
cellular Apple
made by
Watch has its
people.
own cellular ID.
But
You
the
have
type,
to use
the
all one
ideology
plan.
and the way that they
$115
encourage their
a month for
fanboys,
that.
Right.
like,
And then what they do is they've got a.
I don't
there's a feature
appreciate that. They
carriers
make-
have that basically is a
and
line
their
share,
consumer
so your
hostile
calls
decisions,
go to both phone
like they're like,
numbers.
oh, we could do
So
an
your
awesome deal
watch
like
has a
Game
phone
Pass, but
number
we
that
wouldn't make
nobody
as much
sees.
money.
But that means that if
Which
your
actually I
phone
don't even
rings,
think is
your
true.
watch also rings. So if you leave your phone at home and you're running with your watch, and somebody calls you on your phone, your watch also
So
rings.
You're
Sony
absolutely
is a
right.
company.
We're super. There's really no technical reason for Apple not to make your iPad be sufficient to set up an Apple Watch.
Or at least nothing big enough that it should matter, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I
For
can see
anybody
the
who might be watching sometime later on YouTube, I would like to thank you for watching. This has been Euro Truck Simulator 2, presented by Improvision Entertainment. I have been Hunter Munn, and I will see you in the future. Stay safe out there.